अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो परमगुरुभ्यो श्रीमदानन्दतीर्थभगवत्पादाचार्योभ्यो नमो नमः। नारायणपरिपूर्णगुणार्णवाय विश्वोदयस्थितितोलयनियतिप्रदाय ज्ञानप्रदाय विबुधासुरसौख्यदुःखसत्कारणाय विदताय नमो नमस्ते। यो विप्लिम्बविपरीतमतिप्रभूतान् वादान् निरस्य कृतवान् भुविदत्ववादम् सर्वेश्वरो हरिरीति प्रतिपादकं तम् आनन्दतीर्थमुनिवर्यं नमामि। पूज्याय राघवेन्द्राय सत्यधर्मरताय च भजतां कल्पवृक्षाय नमतां कामधेनुवे। Welcome friends. Wish you all a wonderful, productive and a bright year ahead on this Vijayadasami day. Vijayadasami day, we can simply be translating into English as the triumphal 10th. The 10th triumphal day, we can call it. The triumphal 10th does have a meaning in Indian philosophical stream, as well as our epics, as well as all the scriptures have highlighted the importance of this particular day, when the evil or whatever is not desirable is won over by the good, or whatever is desirable for the good of the human being, the world, as well as the society and the cosmos at large. So this is basically a symbolic occasion where we take the evil is being won over by good, with very many stories we have taken from Ramayana and as well as other scriptures, and giving a symbolic attribution to evolve ourselves. This is only an indication for each one of us to give a signal evolution of ourselves. What's happening into this world, because when we come and when we have been working and living, and when we are doing everything in the life from morn to eve until the night, as well as get up next morning and go about it, we do have a certain way of working and certain way of doing the things, which can probably be done with much more skill, eloquence, and all the attendant strength that is possible to be given to this particular thing, particular job, or particular aspect of our life. Very often it is happening, because what we are doing, should be a coordination between our mind and heart. The mind gives the brain coherence of all your thoughts, what we are trying to do, with the due importance, as well as our emotions give a due importance from our emotional coherence from our heart. When the head and heart work together, that is, the brain coherence and the emotional coherence come together, and then they are trying to work towards a common purpose for the good of the person, then he flourishes and attains his most perfect status, what is possible in this life. To each one of us, the perfect could be a sort of a variable. Each one of us need not be perfect as someone else, because we do have our own given. That is what we call, each one of us are a separate seed. We will have to flourish in our own way. All these things have been brought about by the various philosophies and the various sort of expositions by the lot of the great persons who have straddled, that a lot of great acharyas, a lot of great gurus who had the darshanas and straddle in this country, right from the three triumvirates whom we can remember, and among all we have got so many other great acharyas and great people who have come and given us the wisdom. The most important ones are the Shankara of Advaita philosophy, and the Ramanuja of Visishtadvaita philosophy, and Sri.Madhvacharya of Tattvavada philosophy. This day happens to be the birthday of Sri.Madhvacharya. Sri.Madhvacharya was born sometimes in the 12th century and supposed to have lived through the best part of the 13th century. And during his period of time, because the things were very different. When Shankara was supposed to have been in 7th or 8th century, 7th to 8th century, and Ramanuja was supposed to have lived sometime in 9th to 10th century, whereas Madhvacharya was supposed to have lived from 12th to 13th century. there was quite a bit of evolution that has taken place during this period of time. So, therefore, all these great acharyas, the great preceptors, the great people who have straddled this country and perhaps given the entire, the eclectic, the eternal wisdom for the whole world, what can be followed, to perfect one's own life in their lifetime. In fact, when Vivekananda was addressing after his famous Chicago address in very many places in US, in the Vedanta Society of New York, as well as in the Vedanta Society of Boston, as well as in the Harvard Divinity School and all, he was mentioning with his opening remark as it is, if only you knew who you were. This is exactly what we will have to do. Because if only we whom you know you were, does mean when we are not having a coherence of the brain coherence and the emotional coherence, what we function, we get lost into the stream of things. We are not able to get a fine balance of our perfect being. The perfect being of ours is supposed to be elevating us to a different dimension. When we are working in the normal world, we are not in the same dimension which we are capable of. Each one of us are gifted with. The Almighty has gifted with each one of us to attain that dimension in which we can find the perfect firing of our skills, our talent, our intelligence, as well as our own being. So that will happen only when you are able to sort of try to get into the process of knowing who you were. How you do know you who you were? Because we know we are existing. That is the knowledge we have. We have been flesh and blood, and we are alive. We are breathing. That's what we know about it. But is it that that all of us need to be having, and that it does it satisfy us? If it satisfies, there is nothing we can be worried. If there is no hunger, or if there is no sensory perception for any of the persons, there is no need to be worried about this world. But we are all endowed with the sensory perceptions. We are all endowed with the needs, bodily needs, emotional needs, as well as mental needs, as well as the satisfaction, internal satisfaction, what we each one of us do have an aspirations. All of them come together in finding out whether we are able to have, it prevents us from having a perfect balance. We may not be able to have a perfect balance, but we should be able to have a fine balance. The fine balance is the one in the process which can be attempted with the wisdom given by all these masters who have come in different period of the time from 7th century onwards through 10th century and towards 12th and 13th century. And today happens to be the uh, birth anniversary of Sri.Madhvacharya, who has given the Tattvavada. He has given a new dimension to the entire thought process. See, all the masters have given the thought process not only, because just because they have not given the logical analysis of what the scriptures have said, or Vedas have said, or the Upanishads have said. They have lived the life, they have experienced it, they have created the so many disciples who could experience. They have all brought forth the philosophy, demonstrated it to the mass at large, where they can attain themselves to such a great heights, what they are capable of. So when everyone has progressively evolved the thought process of the Indian thought process, it has been a marvel to see how the thoughts have evolved over a period of time, giving a different dimension to the aspect of human life. Now, in this particular day, on this great day, this Jagadguru Madhvacharya, whose Jayanti is observed today, we will just talk about what is the philosophical aspect he has given for the betterment of the human life. And in fact, his teachings are not that much well known, as the Western view of the Indian philosophy is confined to the monistic philosophy propounded by Sri Shankara, which was the first available philosophy to the world at large in terms of translations, as well as the propagation what has happened, the discussion what has taken place. Mostly were confined to the monistic philosophy, whereas the theistic philosophy, the Bhakti philosophy, otherwise called, which is represented by Ramanuja and onwards, Sri.Madhvacharya, and subsequently by Nimbarka and Vallabhacharya, and then by Chaitanya, because all of them great masters, they have taken the various aspects of the Vedas, Upanishads, Brahma Sutras. These are all the and Bhagavad Gita, the prima donna of the scriptures. See, all these scriptures have conferred quite a bit of grand thoughts, which has been taken by all these masters. But then, why do they differ? Then that question may arise. They do differ because it is such a vast compendium of thoughts. And one of the explanations given by Sri.Madhvacharya, when someone asked, what is that? I have so many thoughts, because the same Vedas are there, same Upanishads are there, same Brahma Sutras are there, same Bhagavad Gita is there. How so many views have been propounded? He said, every word in Vedic philosophy, unlike the conventional Sanskrit or the Pali or Prakriti, the other languages, in Vedic philosophy, in the Vedic words and Vedic scriptures, each sentence, each word can have three meanings minimum. It could have more meanings. In fact, it has been proven by one great Acharya called Vyasatirtha, who has come in the line of Sri.Madhvacharya and who was a great dialectician, considered to be one of the prima donna amongst the dialecticians by Surendranath Dasgupta, who has written the sort of a compendium of Indian philosophy in 5 great volumes. Jaitirtha and Vyasatirtha are considered to be the notable dialectics who has taken the Indian thought process to the pinnacle of its heights, and which perhaps even the Western world have not gone through that process because their approach was different. They've got Plato and Aristotle looking into the logical thinking, logical analysis, and logical outcome of the life. Whereas here we have taken the logical, the philosophical, and the mystical aspects of the life, considering in totality and experiencing it in everyday life. To be experiencing in everyday life in the great process what the Indian philosophy affords every human being. So, from this point of view, the, as Sri.Madhvacharya has propounded, Veda can give, all these scriptures can give few more thought process if someone could make an attempt and find out what it is. But truth alone triumphs. That is why today we are celebrating it, Vijayadasami, or the triumphant 10th. So on this day, we will just try to find out the percepts which is giving us enough tool to make our life a wonderful life within our means, within the capacity, within the circumstances in which we are living, wherever we are living, we can still make it as great as possible as the God has afforded. Each one of us have an equal chance to flourish based on our own thought process and our own USP He has given us right in the seat. That is what the greatest contribution of Sri.Madhvacharya to the Indian philosophical thought process. See, all these great masters have agreed there is one superpower, enlivening power, primordial power, who is responsible for this entire world and the being and the creatures. They are called Brahma Satyam. Brahma Satyam in the sense that it is truth, the superpower, the primordial power, the enlivening power, the omnipresent, omniscient power. He is the one who is responsible and he is the one who is guiding. There is no difference between any of the Indian philosophies at all. The differences come in the interpretation, how we have to look at the life, how we have to look at the things that is happening in the world, how it is happening, in the interactions between the pupil to pupil and pupil to objects, how we perceive the objects, how we are taking the object, into the process. They have given the different interpretation. That is why, because in simple sentences, we can say Shankara's philosophy is non-difference. It is not even non-duality or non-difference. or non-secondment, that is more appropriate to call. There is no second other than the Brahman. He is the one manifest everywhere. He is the substratum of everything, whether sentient, insentient, everything is the substratum. That is the Advaita philosophy. Visishtadvaita philosophy says you are non-differential difference, in the sense, you are not same as the enlivening power, the Atman or the Jiva and Jada, and they are all different, but you are not the same. But when you are attaining the evolution as the process which has been afforded to you by the Almighty, you can become something like equal. But he is the one who is primordial power, who is considered to be the primordial power. Vishnu is considered to be the primordial power. Vivishti iti Vishnu, because he is the one who is everywhere at present, and he is endeavoring, he is getting into Otam, he is getting into every being. He is the one who is activating the life. There is no difference in this particular thought amongst any of the philosophies. But then whether whether self can be as much as good as that of the primordial power, as resplendent as that of the primordial power, as superior as the primordial power, there only the difference comes. The possibility is there. That's what the Advaita philosophy is there. And the Visishtadvaita says there is no possibility, but then you can become as good as the possible. Whereas Sri.Madhvacharya said you can never become one and the same. He has said no two things in this world can become one and the same. Bhinnasya bhinna dharmasya padarthaha nikila api. That's what's it. There is always two. Two can never become one. So in fact, it has been very sort of explained, by those who have proponed. He has written 37 great scriptures. Sri.Madhvacharya has, which is called Sarvamoola Grantha, 37 great works, philosophical works, which expounds all his thoughts together, including his great, he has written a Bhashyas, he has written a great, the critic, as well as he has given the explanation of the Vedas, like Rig Veda he has written on Bhagavata, and he has written on all the 10 major Upanishads, and he has also given his thought process with a very many variety of the pramanas he has given, prakaranas and pramanas he has given. With those things he is trying to explain. With all these things give a cogent a sort of it gives a sort of a convenient way to understand this Tattvavada philosophy. And this philosophy has been taken to further heights with the critique and explanations given by the great masters like Jayatirtha, Vyasatirtha, and Raghavendra Swami. He's written Kandartha, and there is Raghottama Tirtha, one great Mahan was there in down south, and Vijayendra Tirtha, and so many. The Vadiraja is one of the greatest 16th century exponent, and who has greatened the philosophy to a great heights. He also had a mystical experiences of a variety of ways, and he has also given the cogent explanation of everything how it happens. And they have also not only expounded the philosophy, they have lived the life of philosophy. The life of the great masters, be it Shankara, Ramanuja, or Sri.Madhvacharya, they are the light themselves. It is not the light divine, it is life divine also. We may call this triumphant 10th is the day of light divine and life divine. When we have had the great opportunity to have these masters in our land who has given us the philosophy to take us to a further heights, to make a wonderful place, the world a wonderful place to live for every creature, every being, irrespective of the nation, irrespective of the boundaries, irrespective of even the planets. It transcends the earth. It goes through the entire universe, everywhere and all. The philosophy can be expounded and explained. The universal phenomena with the conceptual understanding of this philosophy. Coming to the specific teachings of Sri Madhvacharya, whose birthday is being observed, the grand manner, he's supposed to have been, he's supposed to be considered to be an avatara of Hanuman, who was the great Bhakta of Rama, as expounded in Ramayana. and Bhima as a great the Bhakta of Krishna in Mahabharata. And in Kali Yuga, it is supposed to be Sri.Madhvacharya who is supposed to have taken the avatara to give the teachings to the humanity. Even other acharyas are also considered to be something similar because they have had a glorious life, selfless life, wonderful life, exemplifying their way of dealing with this world and creating so many things in the short period of time they have straddled it. Like Shankara was considered to be a sort of Amsha of Shiva, and so is Ramanujacharya considered to be an Amsa of Adisesha. So all these great attributes have come to the human mind because when it is not possible for everyone to be walking this life, walking the way of our life, walking the road, and expounding for everyone to get the benefit of it. And they have created great many masters. In all the streams, there are great many masters who are expounding the philosophy. And whichever road you take you to the height of Sanatana Dharma, which is the greatest gift of this country to the entire world. So, as we have seen, the Sri.Madhvacharya has said, there is a difference. It's not non-secondment. It's not non-differential difference. It is difference. He came to that conclusion, with expounding so many things and all. It is a wonderful. The thought process is so wonderful, and he has also said in one context that all these thoughts are not new. See, Advaita, we might have been, finally brought about by Sri Shankaracharya and Visishtadvaita by Ramanujacharya and Tattvavada by Sri Madhvacharya. But he says all these thoughts, the God has given it to the human thinking right from the beginning. It must have been floating around. Finally, these great masters have picked it up, perfected it, brought to the level in which it could be applied. That is the greatness of this master. How many people can be there? Over these centuries, few of the masters, like subsequently Nimbarka, Vallabhacharya, Chaitanya came, and earlier also we had Gaudapada. So many people had come. Even Buddha had his philosophy, the wonderful philosophy. Well, there could be a differences between Indian philosophy and what, but Buddha is still considered to be one of the avatars of Vishnu. There is a precise reason for that. We will not go into this in this particular small talk when we are celebrating the triumphant 10th, where we are going to be triumphant in every way. We are going to have the triumph for ourselves, from what we are to ourselves, what we could be. We will be a new version of ourselves. That is what we are going to see. The first one is, we said, there could be a difference in the sense, for instance, a small example that has been given is, even the 7.5 billion people who are supposed to be in this world, the left hand thumb impression of every human being will be different. It is still considered to be the insignia which can differentiate from one human being to another. It's a symbolic, it's a difference that God has given to us. Perhaps, that has been, one of the aspects, we can attribute how things could be different. The second thing, the greatest contribution of the Indian philosophy, Sri.Madhvacharya, is Nichocha Bhavam Gataha. It is evaluating yourself as Vivekananda said, if only you knew who you were. We are all in different circumstances. We are all in a different walks of life. We are all having a different background. We are all from different sort of part of the nation or part of the country or part of the state. All of us had different things, but each one of us have got the wonderful, our own strength to flourish. For instance, we could be like a coconut tree is there, and like a jackfruit is there. There is an almond tree is there. The California is growing almonds, whereas this India, we are growing mangoes and bananas. Each one of us have two different things, and mangoes also from one tree to another tree will be different. Even two leaves are not same. This is what exactly Madhvacharya points out. There is nothing, even 99.9%, it could be same, but there will be still 0.1% difference will be there. That's what he has brought about. So when everyone could flourish to their own potential, to their own strength, to their own glory, why not? That is what he said. Therefore, don't look at anyone else. You try to grow yourself, and you are capable of it. And each one of us have a capacity to grow. Someone who has mastered, so many mastered themselves, maybe at a higher level of realization, he may be getting enlightened faster. He could get further things. And this has been brought about by one of the greatest Upanishadic words India has given to the world: Purnamadaha, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vasishyati. Some of us could be a small jug, some of us could be a small glass, some of us could be a big vessel. And when the water comes, each one water will fill each vessel depending upon its size. So, like our skill, our capacity, our sort of USP will be different depending upon our own capacity, our own evolution, our own circumstances, our own seed from which we have come. Each one of us have got the seed. This is what the Madhvacharya has said. So therefore, there is no point, to you don't try to emulate someone else, which is not required, because you have got your own glory to be attained. So once you have it, what is the purpose? There is no jealousy involved. There is no sort of dissatisfaction involved. You will be going towards the highest possible satisfaction in this world. That will be the triumphant tenth of this day. We have covered 2 points. The third point, what he has brought about is, whenever you come to this world, you've got to do your duty. There is nothing you can avoid. You will have to work hard. You have been given 2 hands. You have to do that. Assuming you have the highest possible education, still you are looking for a job. If you don't get it, it is not that you will get disheartened and go and commit suicide. Perhaps you will try to do whatever is possible. There are a variety of ways. There are 100 different ways you can do. Your skills are, you can bring about your skill which is hidden in you. The God has given it to you. So therefore, you have to use it. It's not that what you have and you should seek for what you want. Whatever is available, once you accept and excel in that, and you become a wonderful human being. This is what exactly, the third one he has given it. These other masters have also given in their way. This is what the Madhvacharya has given it. And the fourth one, when he said, whenever you are doing, you try to be mindful of what you are doing. When you are doing, because every day what we are doing, we are on autopilot mode. Whatever we are doing, it becomes a habit. As Rabindranath Tagore has said, we fall into the entire stream of dreary, dead habits of desert. So likewise, what happens, you just do mechanically. You don't apply yourself. Disapplication of mind is the most comfortable zone for any human being to enjoy and live in this world. But once you want to know who you were, the disapplication will have to go, and slowly your application will have to come into. For that, you need the reflection. That is mindfulness. When the mindfulness comes, when you are aware of your potential, when you are aware of what you have to do and how you are going to do, that is going to be the substantive starting point for you to grow to your glory. And this is the triumphant 10th day. We have covered the third aspect of it. The fourth one is, you got to exercise. See, he said, the Madhvacharya is supposed to be a great wrestler, and he's also great in sports. So therefore, what he said, bodily strength and bodily, you have to keep the body fine tuned. Unless your body is fine tuned, your mind and heart will not work properly, and they have to work to their fullest potential, have to have a coherence. That's what said. You should do the exercise, and you will have to do that. And the third thing they said, whenever you are having, try to find a calm quietude where you can sit and reflect. What we call in Sanatana Dharma is Shravana, Manana, Nitidhyasana. So once you do it, what is that it is going to happen? When you are able to reflect upon yourself, when you are able to go into your internal journey, you will find so many confusions will be clarified, and you will have a crystal clear thought on what you have to do and what is the priority and how you have to do. Every day our problems are basically our inability to find what is the priority, how best to do it, and how we have to come over if there is any obstacle. Obstacle is not obstacle. Once you have applied, there need not be any, there could not be any obstacle at all. There will not be any obstacle at all. So this is the fourth one it has been given. So we will have to have a calm, clear gratitude and reflection. That will be. And by doing that, what you will get, this greatest word used by Sri.Madhvacharya is Svata Pramana. You will get convinced yourself. You don't have to go by anyone else's words. For instance, supposing on a particular day you feel, I should not do these things on a particular day. If I do it, I will fail because of some sentimental reasons or some reasons which someone has told you, or you might have heard an earlier experience of failing, and don't do anything at all. You should not be worried. Once you have your full faith in you and full faith into the power who has created into you, you should not feel about anything at all. You will have to do right now, here. It is the right time to do. And you should not procrastinate. Procrastination is considered to be the greatest drawback for any human being, and it comes in the way of growing to your glory. So that is what that is the triumphant tenth. Because when you said we have covered the fourth and important aspect of the fifth aspect, what he said is you should be compassionate. See what he said, the karma, when he said, when you have to do karma, you can't procrastinate and all. Nana janasya shushrushu karma. Anyone who is in front of you, if you ameliorate, his worries or his needs or his concerns, that is the greatest karma. Suppose if you have some knowledge of something, if someone is finding want of that knowledge and struggling to get it done, even without his asking, you should go and help him out. It doesn't differentiate between the caste, creed, gender, and all. It doesn't do anything at all. And this is what the greatest concept he has given, Nana Janasya Shushrushaha Karma. And the most important aspect of it, in the 12th and 13th century, when the society was having its own dimensions, its own sort of phobias, not only here, even in the Western world, it was there. He said, he wrote a work called Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya. He considered Mahabharata to be a fifth Veda. We do have Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharvana. Four Vedas are there. He said Mahabharata is fifth Veda. It does have every great aspect human being should learn. So 5,400 fantastic verses he has composed, and he made it, and he has also made part of the Ramayana as a part of that. That is his greatest contribution to the Ramayana, and he has given the dimension of his dimension of the Ramayana as to be taken for the glory of the human being in that particular Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya. And he brought it out because the gender difference which has been there, in all over the world and particularly in our country, he brought the gender difference to be eliminated, because the ladies who are in the house who don't have any opportunity to get into the great scriptures and all, they can read Mahabharata and they will get all the greatest wisdom, eternal wisdom that has been given in our scriptures, and it is their primary, because it is their right. No one can. That is how he wrote the Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya. And he said Mahabharata is supposed to be, because when all others have an opportunity to go and get themselves educated, rather taught of the scriptures from the Guru and all, the ladies didn't have that opportunity. Despite the fact we do have a lot of Rishikas. We have got Maitreyi, we have got Ambarini, so many Rishikas are there. They have all become Rishikas. But when they become a Rishikas, they have been spinsters and celibate, and they have, even when they have married, also they have been Rishikas. But they have taken a sort of a vow, and because how they have been, they had a particular way of leading the life. But those who are in the families, those who are keeping the family going, who are the fulcrum of the family, who is making the family run, They should have an opportunity to get all these great scriptures. And Mahabharata is primary right, and it could be read, and they should take it, and it is their first right, and that is how he brought the reform in the 12th and 13th century. So that is one of the greatest aspect of Sri.Madhvacharya, to bring about a reform in terms of the gender equality, you can call it, though it has not, taken it full-fledged form. As times to come, even today, I think there are still certain differences are there that's being ironed out. Hopefully, I think, before the end of this century, we will not have any difference whatsoever between the genders, between the caste, between the creed. All of us are first human being. He said, when he said Nana Janasya Shushusha Karmaha, he said, first try to be a human being. Then you become whatever you are. What is that? If you are not become a human being first, what else could be? That is what he brought about. That is the greatest contribution he has given. And he has always said, you try to take all your friends, family, compatriots in your journey together. Whatever you are learning, whatever you are sharing, the experience, helping, as well as do that. And because once you have to have a selfless, resplendent life in this world, you have to take that, and you have got to be, you have always to have to wear a smile. There should not be frown in your face. You should not be fuming and frowning. You would be smiling, and you will be sort of a pleasing to everyone. That is the disposition every human being should have. This has been brought about in most of his discussions in the scriptures. It has also been highlighted. And he has always said, the contemplate at the end of the day. He has said, contemplate at the end of the day and immediately after your lunch. He said, in one of the advices he has given is after the lunch, try to go through the scriptures, whatever is there. And then, because they will just get into your brain. And okay, whatever you could adopt, you try to adopt. Not only that, once you know that, you will try to advise someone whom you come across. Likewise, it propagates. It is something of a Nana Janasya Shushusha, sharing the knowledge. That is the greatest thing, he has always said. And you always have to take a view of a bird's, not only bird's eye view, a cosmic view of the things. He has never been in favor of taking a philosophical view of the scriptures only, because the scriptures comprising scripture comprises of mythological, mystical, and philosophical. All the three views are there. Philosophical, mystical, logical, and philosophical views, all the three together. And mythological mythology is basically what we call the mythology, what we call the itihasas. They are not the one, they are not the one, the stories and all. They are all the one which is giving a sort of a foundation to the experiencing the entire teachings of the Veda into everybody's life. It is bringing about the live examples how even the Almighty, omnipotent in various avatars, is maintaining the integrity of the being in which he takes that particular avatar. He has never compromised, he has not shown his superior power which he is capable of. He has conformed to the norms of the society, ethics of the society, and try to be. That is why Rama is called Maryada Purushottam Ram. The very word Ram sends this phenomenal energy into every being, irrespective of the place we were born in, because the words have got such a power. But whether you are trying to feel, whether you are having the feeling, is up to you, whether you are able enough to receive that signal. Because the Rama, the two words, have got a great significance. Because in the Upanishads, they have called the beings which is having a beginning and the end, the decay, that is called Mara. The Rama is totally opposite, which is does it unchangeable. The power that is going to be enlivening, the omnipotent, omniscient, who is guiding everyone. So in Ramayana also very many instances, the Valmiki has brought about this particular concept in certain instances he has included it so that the human being understand, even however great you may be, you have to be conforming and you have to be ethical as it is required at this particular point of time. That means humility is the highest quality that is required, irrespective of the fact whether you are a mighty monarch or a peevish beggar. This is what has been brought about. This has been highlighted by Sri.Madhvacharya in all his teachings. Not only that, he has exemplified in his life throughout. And he has also mentioned, don't compromise anything as of your help is concerned, as of your as your duty is concerned. You should not compromise on anything. Your duty to your family, your duty to your parents, everything you have to do, because you should not say, that I have to do something else. I am going to be reading the scriptures. You can read the scriptures, but when, after you complete all your duty to the family which is with you, and your children who are with you, and the people who are around with you, who are depending on you, who are looking up to you, after that you do that, because they are all required. It is not that at the cost of one you do the another thing. These are all the great thinking, because even Shankaracharya, he has given 181 question he is supposed to have answered when one of his shishyas have asked. He has given the explanation for everything. If human mind always try to find, when you are determined not to do it, find a way how to avoid it, then you ask a question. But once you know you have to do it, you are so open, and once you have become spiritually evolving, you will not have any doubt. The doubt will come as long as you want to find a way to not to do the things or try to slip out of it. So this is exactly, has been brought about indirectly. This has been given. And over and above, as we grow about in this on this life and all, okay, all these teachings are there, everything is there. How do you mitigate the sufferings which is coming about? The world is full of suffering. We have seen the pandemic, how it has taken the toll, not only our nation, entire world. More than about 10 million people have perished, and it's also it is still being hovering around, which we do not know, because how, when it is going to end, and when that life is going to be easier and as it was earlier. But then this too shall pass, as it has passed in so many places, so many years ahead and all. Even because the Western world also undergone all these things. Then he said, you will have to face it, and you will have to find a way to mitigate. Continuously work on that. Our scientists are working day and night. They have found MNRA. They call the process by which they could determine they could produce the vaccines. In fact, this year Nobel Prize was expected to be given to those who have invented that process of mRNA. Maybe I think they will get, because next few years, that is the custom of the Nobel Prize, to be given after a few years of the discovery is being proved, and perhaps when people are about to forget, they get the Nobel Prize. So it is something which is happening in the world. It is happening. So when you have taken all these things and together, it is only the triumph is good over evil is getting ourselves into a better version every day, and to gloriously go to the fullest potential, growing to our own glory, and submitting to the power who has created, who has endowed us with so much of energy, and who have given all the strength and skill, and submit to him. He doesn't want anything more than that, and try to live a selfless, glorious life like anyone else, and make it is a wonderful place for to live. Even the creatures, all the sentient, insentient, whatever comes across, if it is there, we would not have had any climate problem at all. We will have to live along with the nature. As long as you keep your wants to the need, nothing will happen. If you go for your greed, everything will change, as Mahatma Gandhi has said. And we have seen the literal examples of life who have lived the teachings of the great masters like Nelson Mandela, who had caused, despite his 25 years of incarceration, he didn't have even iota of sort of rancor against the people who were the cause for that. Instead, that he created a great body like Truth and Reconciliation Commission, where people could be brought about. They said the truth is we are all human beings. We will have to live with cooperating and coordinating with one another. We have to co-create the society. We have to co-create the world, and we have to co-create the universe. This is the greatest sort of teaching we can get from all the masters. And this day is supposed to be the greatest day for reading the scriptures, because from there only you will get all these great thoughts. Let us hope all these great thoughts permeate every DNA of ours, every cell of ours, and give a wonderful being, a wonderful coherence to our brain as well as heart, and make the life fulfilled, not only for us, for the entire our fellow citizens, our family, and the society, the nation, and as well as the whole universe. With this, I will try to wish you once again a wonderful, wonderful Vijayadasami, the triumphant 10th for the years to come. Not only for this year, years to come with this. Thank you. Purnamadaha, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyati, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vasishyati. Thank you.